Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Yourself?
Very good. Yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations on the new record. I've been listening to it all day. I love it.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It was a long time coming. A little bit of time in between these
hmm
this last one and this one. So it's here though. Made it to the day.
Yeah. So it's Niatiris. Is that how you pronounce it? I know it's an acronym.
Yeah. Neurodius. Yeah, is how.
Neurodius. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's how we say it. It's just a made up word, like you said.
Yeah.
So I've actually come across that quite a few times. People saying it in different ways, and there's actually no real way. It's just how we say it. So
hmm
it'll become the norm, I think. Just ask Alexa; she'll tell you.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see how she says it. Some of the
Yeah,
things I've asked her to say has been quite interesting.
yeah, oh, yeah. Good
So
shit.
obviously Self-Destructor doing great here on radio. But I just the first couple times I've listened to it, Ghost and Razor, So Long Mother Earth, just are tremendous. Endlessly a little bit different of a Chevelle song.
Yeah, I think so. That's actually a track I played acoustic earlier last year. Just as we were sitting around wondering what was going to happen, like everyone, and I was like, let's just tease, an acoustic track, because it was something that I was toying with anyway. So we just popped it up on YouTube. Few people saw it. It's getting more. People are seeing it more now that the album's out
Mhm.
today. But yeah, I think this album. I don't know. I mean, I could definitely dive into it if you want. I mean, it's
Yep, that's why we're here.
yeah. I mean, we kind of wrote the equivalent of two albums getting to this point, but only used half of it.
Mhm.
So but I've always worked. So I have 500 different ideas on my phone, but we demoed a bunch that were, we can go back and change and make better. So,
Mhm.
cause we got halfway through this album and realized that, half of the songs weren't necessarily up to snuff. So back
Yeah.
to the drawing board, which the extra time helped. But yeah, it's not all power chords on this, I mean, it's a little bit different guitar technique for me. A lot of single string chugging along riffs and things like that. So it opened up a sort of a different new sound for us, I think.
Yeah, I remember when you were back on tour with Breaking Benjamin a couple years ago. We
Mhm.
brought some winners back, and I remember, I'm not sure who it was, but they're like, you should have a new single in like a month, and then it's been a year and a half, so
Sorry about that.
not a problem. So part of this record was recorded in 2019, and then the other part
Yeah.
in 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the summer of 19.
Okay.
And then we went back to the drawing board
Mhm.
and quickly, wrote another 5 tracks and recorded those. I did a few of them in my closet at home. I was just
Oh,
goofing around and I broke out the keyboard, and I have a studio in the basement, but the keyboard is in my closet for total silence. And,
okay.
because if you have a 6-year-old running around on the top floor and you're in the basement, you're going to hear it. So set my keyboard up there, and yeah, Lost in Digital Woods was recorded in the closet up there. And so trying some different sounds, a little bit of piano, a little bit of keyboard, and a kalimba thrown in there, which is a little percussion thing. You play with your thumbs.
And you're doing this technically as a two-piece, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we have a bass player that's gonna come with us out on the road, Kemble,
Mhm.
and we're actually just talking about getting together with him as soon as possible because we're starting to say yes to shows
Yeah.
in July. Possibly, we'll see what happens, but we had rehearsed with him twice before COVID hit, and then haven't been able to get together with him since. But gonna start working on that.
Well, obviously you were working on the new record, but how did you deal with COVID and the lockdown? Because you guys are usually on the road a lot. It obviously gave you more time to record and stuff. But how have
Yeah.
you dealt with the COVID and the lockdown, just family wise, band wise?
Oh, I'm terrible. I'm terrible at this. Staying home. My wife is gonna. She's literally gonna throw her hot coffee in my face one of these mornings. I just get up all gloomy. I'm like, I'm not centered. I need that balance of, the tour, the preparing for tour, and then the excitement, and then doing the tour, and then getting excited to come home.
Mm-hmm.
It's this pattern that I've lived with for 20 some years, ever since we hit the road in 99 ish.
Yeah.
So,
Well, talking about the road, I guess we'll go back to, was it 04 or 03? You were on the Ozfest tour?
mm-hmm.
Somewhere around there. That's when I first saw you guys live. You played in the middle of the afternoon. I remember on the main stage here in Jersey, and the Red and Send the Pain Below were blowing up, and there was just this intensity. You weren't necessarily a metal band there. Ozfest did have eclectic bands. They were all in the hard rock range and stuff, but there's an intensity to a Chevelle show, and you're one of the few bands I would say the records are great, but it's a whole nother animal to see you guys live.
Oh yeah, nice. It's weird because we do have fans tell us, wow, they actually like the live show better than the albums, and that is something that we've had to like try and capture. But it's really weird because you're trying to balance this fine line of a live sound and a crisp, well performed and like tight record that people are used to. Mm-hmm. And we may be coming to the end of that. I mean, like, I love what we've done. Some of the early ones, I won't go into that, but I love the later stuff. We took back the reins around Sci-Fi Crimes. We really said, okay, now we're going to start digging in deeper and trying to do this a little bit better. We just weren't as involved as we needed to be. And we realized that later on in our, few years in, but, yeah, I don't know, man. What was the question? I don't even remember. I was going off on a.
I was just talking about the intensity of your live show, and where you're one of there's two bands that come to mind, and there's a million bands I love live, and I love the records, and I love your records, and I feel the same way about Incubus. Like, the records are great, but it's a different animal live. It's like just a different vibe, and it's just you have to go and experience, in my opinion, to fully appreciate the band in total.
Cool. Yeah, I get that totally. I don't know. I think, I saw Incubus recently at a Beale Street Festival. We played with them a few years back, and then we ran into them at the airport the next day. We were all flying out together, and we were on the same label, Epic, not at the time. This was a few years back, but they were on Epic, and we kind of like saw each other in the hallways of, and we are like, we know you. So we ended up hanging out and having a little powwow. Each band just like taking over the hallway there. That was sweet. We actually got to talk about some funny things at the label, why they left and all that, which is interesting to me because we're finishing a contract with Epic, which is a long ass contract. Like we did eight full length plus all the B-sides and all the other ones. So they probably I don't know what they think about me talking about this now at the release of this, but it's like, we're actually going to be free agents trying to figure out what the next move is now. And so if touring comes back, we're going to hit the road, and we're going to probably spend the next year hitting it hard. But if not, I'm going to get back into the studio and finish some of these songs and see what comes from that. Obviously I want the touring though, but
yeah, these songs need to be heard live. I was listening to it on my way into work and listening to it in here. Is it Mars Simula? Is that how we're calling it? That song is just that like punches you in the face. It is so good. I'm like, that song I want to hear live when you guys get back on the road.
Yeah, I was just writing down some descriptions of these songs for another outlet, and I put in there for Mars Simula, it needs the chaos of the live show to fully be appreciated. When we play this song, we just recorded a video for it, which is crazy fun to do any kind of work in any capacity. And so you'll see that, but we're hoping that's the second single officially.
Awesome.
And so that's why we recorded the video, and it's just it's a banger. It needs to be played live. I mean, Self-Destructor too. It's a 6-minute song that is hopefully opens up in the live space. I mean, it's a hell of a ride for me, physically on the fingerboard. It's a lot to remember.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, watching you live, I mean, because you're the only one playing guitar, you're singing, and a buddy of mine who used to work here is named Jake. He's got Chevelle tattoo. He's probably pre-ordered everything for the record. Probably got it today.
nice.
I always say to him, I'm like, man, like, how does Pete keep his voice up? Because there's a lot of screaming in your live show. Maybe not as much on a record, but in the live show, again, I always say that intensity. How, after all these years, have you kept the voice in good shape?
Well, I've actually been asked that about probably about a decade ago, halfway through till now. For a while when I started, I took it way too serious. I wouldn't eat dairy or, any kind of cheese or pizza or anything that was like, and eventually I just said, screw it. We probably don't want to swear on here, right? This is radio.
Hey, say whatever you want. We're Zooming. We're not on air.
Yeah. So I said, fuck it. And I'm like, I'm gonna not care and see how that goes. Right. It was actually better. The stress just like went away. I think a funny thing happened recently too. Probably in 2019, I was home a lot. We did one really long tour with Breaking Ben, and then we finished up the year with like 3 weeks. Anyway, I was home a lot, and I heard a few of our tracks from the North Corridor and La Gargola, and I was reminded at how heavy those records are and how much I was screaming. And then I heard a live show recently, and I was like, this is about a year ago, and I was like, wow, I'm really pushing this. I'm like, everything just morphs, and you get this intensity live, and eventually you just like blow it out. I've heard Dave Grohl do that as well. Like they're so great live, and yet his voice goes to like rasp, like, throughout. And you're pushing it so hard. So I actually have been dialing that back, preparing for the return.
Yeah, well, Dave Grohl's pre-show thing is like a couple Coors Lights, some Jaeger. Sure, that's not probably helping his cause either.
Yeah, I mean, I do one beer about half an hour before I go on to loosen me up, and then I drink beer throughout. But we did a few shows with Foo Fighters in the past. We did like a run of 4 right before we went to do Ozfest actually, and he was awesome. He would run right off the stage into our dressing room and sit down and say, "What are we drinking? What are we doing? Let's do this." And you're like, I'm sitting here with the drummer from Nirvana, which is, arguably you could pick Foo Fighters or Nirvana, but super cool cat, like just crazy cool guy.
That's good. That's good to hear. I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan, so it's good to hear that he's just as fun on stage as he is off stage. So we just celebrated an anniversary with you guys. So we signed on here with WMGM in, was it August of 2011? And the first show we ever presented as our own was March 3rd, 2012. So it was a couple days ago. You guys at the House of Blues in Atlantic City, that no longer exists, by the way, unfortunately.
Shit.
And you were the first show that we presented. And then a few months later, actually, I guess it was 5 or 6 months later, Carnival of Madness with Evanescence and Hailstorm and you guys. It's when you had the Chevelle on the road, and we had winners driving around with you guys in the Chevelle in Atlantic City.
Yes, that was nuts. That was not safe in any capacity. That car was a beast, and I think I drove it once. Like we grew up with street rods and things like that, but I think I drove that thing once. That engine was so burly. It was a bit too much horsepower, but my brother loved that car. He would scare the pants off of people.
He took the winner. He was taking the winners, and we could hear him from like blocks and blocks away. Yeah. And he said, we thought we weren't going to make it back. We had no gas, and we couldn't find a gas station. And there's one gas station in Atlantic City, and it's on the opposite end of where the House of Blues was.
I'm surprised he didn't run out of gas. That thing.
He got there. He got there. And stuff,
yeah, that's good. That thing shouted.
Yeah, that was loud. That was a cool little thing to do. And then you guys played here for us at the big place at Boardwalk Hall with Disturbed and Nothing More, which is another great show. So as we get ready to celebrate our 10-year anniversary as a station, you've been a big part of it, and obviously a big part playing the tunes too.
Yeah, nice. Glad to hear it.
So, you said you're accepting shows and stuff. So I guess I had somebody ask me, like, would Chevelle ever do a virtual concert or anything? But I guess if things are opening up, you'd rather be on the road and in front of people.
Yeah, we would definitely. We've had the offers, and we almost pulled the trigger on one. Yeah, it was basically going to happen around today, but it just didn't come together the way we had hoped, based on the fact that we're separated. Our bass player's in California, and we're trying to figure out how to get him here. So, but we are figuring it out, and you never know. I mean, if these shows don't happen, we may have to go to, virtual, just to share something with the fans of these new songs. So fingers crossed, though, that we're going to get back to the live stuff.
Absolutely. I think I went to one of those drive-ins with Smith and Myers of Shinedown, and it was kind of cool because it was just like a 4-hour tailgate, and the show came to us. We didn't have to go into the show, but they're definitely missing something, absolutely. And it just feels like, I guess it's been a year. I was up in New York seeing Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden, and then everything got locked down.
Yeah.
That's it.
I know, hence the title of the record. I mean, we were sitting here in 2020 trying to title it, and I sat there and I was like, is this really happening? This doesn't feel real. And then with going down my YouTube rabbit holes of simulation theory, I just came up with that, and it tied it in with the space theme. So I know we're all kind of sitting here a year later saying the same things. When will this end? And is this really happening? So we're all in the same boat, I guess, at least in the music biz, like, we're definitely a hard hit industry right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you hear, I always hear people on thing. In fact, it was, I was reading your thing where I think you guys got into it with someone with the music and like, stealing the music or something. I was reading the reply. I'm like, not everybody, has millions of dollars and is living in a mansion, and you have a crew that they're not working. And I don't think people really realize how crippled an industry like that, anything live, I guess, really got crippled with this, and it's hoping that it rebounds. I think once the people are going to want to get out of their house, people are going to want to, get to a live show that crave and love music, that the touring industry, as long as we can get back to normality, is going to boom something fierce. It's going to be huge.
Yeah. I think there's going to be floods of people coming out to shows. Maybe a little bit of a, a post 9/18 flu extravaganza. While they talk about how when that was over, how it was like the roaring, whatever. So, man, I hope so.
Yeah,
we're ready to go.
I think
I need it, man. Like,
so.
It's a trip, man. It's such a trip. I wake up and I have to actively like search out positive things just to not go down a dark road, which, and I'm somewhat of an emotional dude because I just, what I do for a living and trying to put emotions into lyrics and things like that. So it hasn't been easy, but we're just, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, I think, seeing it. So let's go with that.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you for taking some time. The new record, one more time. How do you pronounce it?
Neurodius.
I got to remember that. Great record. It's available now wherever you consume your music, whether you're downloading it from like an iTunes, whether you're getting vinyl, CD. I've already ordered the vinyl, so hopefully it'll be showing up really soon. It's a killer record, man. You should be proud of it. And it's going to be on a constant spin for me for a long time.
Sweet. Yeah. Thank you, man. Appreciate that very much.
And we hope to see you soon, whether it's Atlantic City or maybe up the street in Philly or whatever on the road, and all the best. And Pete, we thank you again for taking some time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome. Take care, sir. Be good.
You too.